Do you know that Pastor Becky Enenche once vowed that she would never marry Pastor Paul Enenche if they made this particular mistake during their courtship? If you want to know what that mistake was and why avoiding that mistake is the secret behind their beautiful marriage today, then watch this video to the end. Rebecca, the woman we now know as Pastor Becky Enenche, the wife of Pastor Paul Enenche, the senior pastor of Dunamis Christian Center, was born on the 23rd of October 1970 in Benue State, Nigeria. She didn't grow up struggling for anything. Her father was a well-respected medical professor, a specialist in human psychology, and her family carried both wealth and academic weight. She grew up in a good Christian home in and around Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. As a young girl in secondary school, she wasn't the star student everyone expected. She usually placed third or fourth position in her class, but something she witnessed around her changed everything. She saw how desperate some students became just to secure admission into university. They were so desperate that some of them considered sleeping with lecturers just to get a spot. Seeing that shook her a lot. She made a decision right there and then that she was going to study so hard and so well that her family would never have to beg anyone to get her admitted to the university. And she did just that. She got admitted to study medicine at the University of Jos on merit and graduated as the best graduating student in obstetrics and gynecology. While she was studying medicine and surgery at the University of Jos, she attended a campus fellowship during a long vacation because medical students do not go on breaks. It was in this campus fellowship that she crossed paths with a young man already known across campus as a man of God. His name was Paul Enenche. At that time, she was in her fourth or fifth year in medical school, but she had never heard about him prior to that day. He was preaching that day, and she sat there thinking, who is this visiting minister? She had no idea that he was also a student, but in a higher level, and he already knew who she was because of her father being one of his professors. When he called for people that wanted to be on fire for God to come out, she went out and he prayed with them. After the meeting, he asked her a question. Have you ever prayed in tongues for 1 hour at a stretch? She was shocked. She then asked him if that was possible, and he said yes. Then he gave her that as an assignment to try it for herself. And that was how he became her mentor in school. And their relationship grew from there. After a while, he proposed marriage to her and they began courting. Pastor Becky said they would fast every Thursday and break their fasting together. Each time he came to her house to break the fast on Thursday, she would leave her door wide open. They would pray in the sitting room because they had earlier made a commitment to each other that they would not have sexual intercourse until they got married. And if they did, they will break the relationship and go their separate ways.
When we were in courtship, God's servant and myself, we made up our minds and we said, we shall not defile the marital bed. We told ourselves, if it happens, that's the end of that courtship and the marriage will not happen. And so even when we saw each other at different intervals, we made sure we put practical things in place. I had a flat where I was staying as a house officer. We used to fast and pray together every Thursday, and if you came to pray, guess what we'll do? The front door of the flat will be open. That is, the door is ajar, is open, and the windows are what? Open. Curtains are drawn, and the prayer is in the parlor.
They continued their relationship, and then by April 16th, 1994, they both got married. In the early days of their marriage, Pastor Paul Enenche would always correct her over every little thing that she did. She was unhappy, so one day she asked him, is it that I never do anything right in your eyes?
She said that at the beginning of our marriage, I kept on correcting her until she said, does it mean I never do anything right? I said, no. The Bible said I should present you to myself. So I'm working on you to present her, because in those days, she will comment on everything and everybody. Your perfume is so nice. What is the name of it? She's just being herself, not just normal. There is jealousy in man's house. Small. You are standing in my presence and telling a man your perfume is good, and calm down, calm down. I know you are being social. You don't have bad intention, but I'm not sure that I'm okay.
Pastor Becky said from the beginning of their marriage, her husband had placed her on a monthly personal allowance, which still runs till this day. Whenever he goes to work or he goes out and he's coming back home, even then when he didn't even have so much, he would branch a suya spot and buy her the suya that his money could afford. and when he gets home, he will give it to her. That little gesture made her so happy. When Pastor Paul Enenche received the call to begin full-time ministry, he decided to go on a fast and ask for direction. He went to a particular location, and while he was fasting and praying, Dr. Becky also decided to embark on a fast and also pray. She told God to tell her what he was telling her husband, so that to be like a confirmation of whatever he tells her husband. So when her husband got back home and was telling her what God told him, she also showed her husband where she wrote down what God told her concerning the ministry. And she has supported her husband since then till this day. Today, their union has produced 4 beautiful children and a grandson. As their ministry grew, they decided to build a primary and secondary school. Today, Dr. Becky Enenche is the director of the primary and secondary education of the ministry, as well as the director of administration for the church worldwide. In order to manage these positions effectively, she went back to school to complete a master's in business administration and also got a postgraduate degree in education just so that she could serve in these roles effectively. Dr. Becky Enenche has authored over 9 books and is well known for being very generous. She has funded scholarships and welfare programs for the less privileged. She has built and donated houses for vulnerable girls. She has financed boreholes and distributed foods to orphans and widows year after year. In fact, she has turned her birthdays into fresh opportunities to bless people. She's a respected voice for healthy Christian marriages. If you're preparing to get married or you're already married, you need to listen to her sermons on marriages. They'll bless you and you'll be glad you did. If you love this video, ensure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. My name is Charity Lawrence, and I'll see you all in my next video. Until then,